At this very minute, the Government Development Bank, or GDP, for Puerto Rico is holding a meeting for its investors over at Citigroup here in New York City. They are answering questions about the $72 billion debt hole that Puerto Rico is stuck in. Here is a live picture of what's going on right now. There are 300 plus people in attendance, standing room only. Joining us now, Fox Business senior correspondent Charlie Gasparino, along with Keith Hausman, president and CEO of Oxford Capital, managing partner of Oxford Advisors. Keith was formerly a lead banker at JP Morgan, focusing on Puerto Rico, and you raised, what, billions in muni bond markets, correct?
Yes.
You're the reason.
It's your fault. What can come out of this meeting?
To be here today.
Keith, what can come out of this meeting that can change the picture at all? Does Puerto Rico have a plan? There's some breaking headlines that are coming out right now.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm not at the meeting since I'm here today. I suspect that a lot of the discussion will be around the hired guns trying to get the support of the investor community to help with the getting Chapter 9 approved in Congress. And, I suspect that's a lot of what the discussion going on is, and getting the buy-in of the community that a Chapter 9 will be a much more organized process than what is currently.
And let's be clear here. Yeah, Puerto Rico is a commonwealth of the U.S. It's not a state.
Correct.
It can issue bonds like states, but it cannot declare bankruptcy. And, but here's the odd thing. States can't declare bankruptcy. So you would essentially be giving Puerto Rico extraordinary power.
That's correct. With regards to the GO bonds, Puerto Rico doesn't have any ability to restructure their debt. They tried to pass an act on June 30th of last year. It was recently a federal judge said it wasn't constitutional, and they just failed on an appeal.
Let me give you a headline here. Puerto Rico's GDP head, Melba Acosta, she's saying that the plan for the island needs, this sounds like Greece, needs sacrifice from all stakeholders, including citizens, businesses, and creditors. The plan must also include federal government.
You know what that means. What does that mean?
Bailout.
Oh, my gosh.
Even a Chapter 9 is a bailout, since the investors purchased the bonds at a certain yield and dollar price that they didn't have the ability to declare Chapter 9. So Chapter 9 would almost be unfair and a bailout of sorts that the investor community is not in favor of at the current moment.
I think the parallels to Greece are pretty amazing here. I mean, I've been doing a lot of research on Puerto Rico. Huge amounts of debt, a huge government workforce, lots of welfare, bizarre tax system. I mean, they gave some incentives for businesses to go over there, which they did, and then they rolled back those incentives, and then they increased taxes on everybody else,
right?
And it made a bad situation even worse there. And I think when you hear someone like that from the government go out there and say everybody needs to take sacrifices, and with no real plan, you get the impression they're doing what the Germans are making the Greeks do. Basically, raise taxes on people who can afford it and squeeze the economy even further.
Keith, what's Citigroup's involvement in here? They're lending their auditorium, but they've been authorized as the broker-dealer for debt issuance, correct?
Right, for new issuances and things of that nature. They're one of the syndicate members.
The people in the audience, the Oppenheimers,
Franklins.
I don't know who else is in there. The Nuveen's of the world. Who's
the hedge
exposed?
funds.
People who don't even know they're exposed?
You got two. Well, you know this. You got a couple of groups of investors. You got the individuals who bought it and held on to it, which they're getting crushed here.
Yeah.
Right. Individual investors. That's where rich people buy for its triple tax-free status. You got the mutual funds, who are somewhat hedged, but they're more of a sort of diversified portfolio. And then you got the speculators, the hedge funds who came in
debt players
over the last year or two, who bought it at very depressed prices, who will make out no matter what happens here, I think, because even if there is a sort of forbearance and a sort of deal where some of the debt gets forgiven, they bought it at 40 cents, 30 cents on the dollar, whatever it was. It might spike to 50.
Well, we need to tell you that coming out of the meeting right now, economist Ann Kruger is calling Puerto Rico's economy, quote, appallingly unrealized. Keith, is it worse than $72 billion?
Well, these are the hired guns that Puerto Rico is using to lobby and try and get a federal aid or bailout with given the right to use Chapter 9 to restructure their debt. That's kind of what I see this meeting primarily as well as kind of to get the bondholders on board. Melba Acosta is the one just talking, is the president of the Government Development Bank. Citigroup is one of the restructuring advisors, along with Milstein and Company and Cleary Gottlieb, the law firm that is involved in trying to help them convince the holders.
Well, looks like a bailout, maybe. We'll be watching.
No, it looks like they want a bailout. Do you think Congress goes for it? No way.
Not this Congress, Charlie. First, hopefully we'll see Greece get done in a couple of days here, and then Puerto Rico, I think, will play out over the coming years. PREPA, which is the first one to be restructured, is the forbearance was extended until September 15th. They have a lot of other debt trust agreements.
PREPA is one of those
Electric
agencies.
Authority, the utility, and they have a lot of other agencies that will need to go through a process. I see it playing out over a number of years.
Charlie Gasparino, Keith Hausman, thank you.
So we're going to keep you here for a long time.
A couple of years at least, Charlie.
We'll set up a futon for you, Keith.
That'll be great. Thanks, Liz.
Right behind there on the set. Keith is the CEO of Oxford Capital. Closing